for them was, again, their equipment and their tools because of what happened. But they are very vigilant in staying in control. For some reason, it has nothing to do with this city manager, animal control falls under this department. It always has. We have reduced that by $4,000. However, when I looked at the numbers, we are still having to do and use the vet, Dr. Disa. It has not slowed down. We have contacted the Wilson County Animal Control, but they have not been able to take the number of animals that we have. And so going forward, I do want to say that because we're having a zero-based budgeting, if I put in 4, it's going to come a time that I'm probably going to run out of money. And so I am going to...
We need to put it back to the normal.
I need to put it back what we've had before. I know this was the first year and I was excited to cut that, but when I looked at the numbers and finally brought it to my attention, it doesn't look like those decent bills had decreased. Not to say it won't decrease in the future, but we've had that problem. So if you would allow me to amend that number back to $8,000, only because we need to wait to see what's going to happen with the animal shelter.
Where are we standing now with the amount of money, if you just checked it?
I checked, we were right at $6,000. And I don't know whatever outstanding bills that we have, because we just actually sent, I believe, it was 3 animals last week, we said? There were 3 animals. The owner with the one-legged dog came and picked up her animal. But we have contacted them each
One-legged dog.
The 3-legged dog made
Oh,
it, the other ones did not.
Okay, so you're going to change the tools, supplies, you're going to put that...
Yes, sir, to what you all agreed.
That 40,000 in that spot instead of having a 0?
No, sir, we're going to add it to the line. And which one was that? Honey, you want to add the 50 to go to 90?
Right.
For the 50 to go to 90, it's capital outlay,
Yeah.
and that is on page, that's on page 5?
Paid when?
5.
5.
So
That's where we're gonna do the $90,000.
You see, currently, it is.
Okay, so that goes to 90,000.
Yes, sir. And
So-
I'm asking if you can move that $8,000, that $4,000. I had thought we would cut it in half, but if we can move back to 8.
Why aren't you putting some of that stuff in that small, that tool category, clamps and stuff?
In tools, because
They
it's
go
not
through
selling
those a
day
lot.
to day. Because of the amount of money and what we're using for capital improvements, and it's definitely for the infrastructure above and beyond, the average screwdriver and clamp. That's what small tools are really for.
Yeah, because you got 0 right now for that.
And that is because we have a, let me find it.
That's on page 2. Small
Yeah, but-
tools and supplies.
That is administration.
That's administration.
Yes,
Oh.
the water, actually our water department is 2-to-1, 5-to-1.
Yes, administration is for those
So-
ladies in house, the ladies that sit in front.
Yes.
That's administration. They don't need small tools. But if
So
you-
small tools here is 4,500,
one page,
What page?
4.
page 4.
Let me see,
So-
like
Small tools and supplies, we have $1,250.
4,000.
4,500, I'm sorry, it's one up.
Okay, so that's admin, the first one.
The
Okay.
first one
Yes.
is admin. As you see at the top, it says water department itself, not admin. And so those are the typical screwdrivers, those kind of typical things that they have. We don't, this is definitely a capital outlay because of the amount. And because these have value and they do depreciate when you put it under capital outlay. So we'll make those minor adjustments. Or is there anything else you want to do for the water department? Or any questions that you have about water department?
I would like to address the pipes and connections. That's also on page 4. This is the one that is right now is in the $200,000 minus. And it's because due to all these breakages that they have to replace pipes and clamps and everything that they need to do. So this is the line item that we use to purchase items on Ferguson, correct? And
Yes.
we have it at 50,000.
Well, I don't know
think we
how you're
should
going
have
to
it.
address that, because we still, Spectrum, and it's not just Spectrum, I'm beating up on Spectrum, but it's not just Spectrum, the gas company, Verizon, other people hit our stuff as well. And we're chasing that tail.
Now,
Again,
you say that's under admin?
it's
No,
under, on page 4.
It's on page 4.
It's pipes and
Department
connections.
materials, but from 102,000
I'm
now
looking at what
down
she
to
said under-
50,000.
Because that's typically what we spend is between $50,000 to $53,000. If you look over the years, it's been 43, 32, 53. So about 50 has been average. This year, because of all the construction, I don't see that. I'm hoping to slow down.
And do you foresee that Spectrum is going to give us the money?
That's a question for you on
We're gonna meet with them.
tomorrow. We have a meeting with them tomorrow. And any funds that we may, I mean, we're going to strong arm it. These guys, come on, give them their mean face. These guys are coming with me so that they can explain the pain better than I can of what they've had to go through. And so any money I would perceive that you would do, we would put to that line item. But it's definitely your decision if you want to increase that to hedge your bets. I wouldn't increase it to $100,000, but you may want to increase it a little bit just because of
At
safety.
least to 75,000.
You all feel comfortable with that?
It should be more.
I don't know, I think we should.
If Councilman John said it should be more, we definitely need to say 80, 85?
It's on through just Spectrum alone.
Well, we spent on Spectrum, is the majority of the breaks,
Yeah, we should,
we have spent on the majority of the breaks have been for Spectrum. Is that a fair assessment, gentlemen? Most of them have been Spectrum.
can we
We've
hold
spent
on
over 50,000.
about this till after tomorrow and see what's going to happen?
So you gotta ask.
We have to ask.
It's going to be our first, we've sent letters, this is our first face-to-face meeting. So even if they say yes and they give in, which I doubt very seriously, it's going to be some time. It'll be after you all pass the budget.
We want to put it at 75?
I'd go way over 100, because there's still, God, there's so many things that.
They're doing the gas lines too.
That would be
Simply.
Center Point.
No, I understand that, but they're still breaking lines.
Yes, and even hitting their own lines as well.
And we have so many that are still claiming.
They still come in. So I listened, I've heard 75, you tell me.
Okay,
If you
but-
want to do more than
What
75,000?
what can we do that would be on the same?
Honey, what would you recommend?
I recommend 75, but Mr. John says that maybe 100,000. And easily, it can go fast.
So since we know already that we spent over $100,000, I would acquiesce and agree with Councilman Johnson. He saw the dilemma that they were in. I knew you all came by as
No, but
well.
we're talking about pipe replacement.
Pipe replacement, and so we can talk about something around to 100. If we don't need it, we won't spend it, but I need to be able to allocate it. So somewhere around $100,000, ladies and gentlemen?
I agree, because we don't need, it's better to pull it back than every year we budget below it, and all of a sudden we're going over budget.
Yes,
That's
and so
ridiculous.
we won't have budget amendments because we're doing zero-based budgeting. So Connie, can you make that indication of $100,000? And thank you, Councilman Johnson, I really appreciate your support.
A lot of the patches aren't like new lines, it's repairs, they're not gonna last very long. You know, the ones that we repaired Friday night, you know, there's a problem there, they're not.
Well, I haven't approved for them to make it a permanent closing as of yet because we need to see if that's going to hold, and they have no idea if it's going to fracture, so it'll be temporary for a while.
We're working with a lot of old
Yeah.
pipes.
A lot older than me, actually. Yes, sir. Both pipes. Okay. Well, Councilwoman, Mayor Pro Tem, we are done with this section. If anybody has any other questions, we'll move on to wastewater.
What did we decide, 100?
Yes, sir.
I did 100, yes.
Yes, sir.
I have some questions, but I'll wait till they come in.
Oh, no, you can ask them if you want.
Okay, well, I had gotten a phone call from one of the residents, and they were asking me, if they could have, he called me, he said, where do I call? Because they had called to City Hall and it was closed because the water was coming out too slow. And there was a water leak somewhere there, that's why.
Yes, they can normally call 911, and we'll put some things on the website to let people know. It's not that it's necessarily I'm calling the police, but the 911 will dispatch ours, and that's who calls out after hours. They take a turn with the phone, the emergency call out, and that's who 911 will call. So after city hall hours, they can call 911 to call them out to ask questions. Yes, ma'am, they can.
Okay, and
Is
then
that correct, gentlemen?
You're correct. I was I was on call that night, but due to I was being in the home, the phone was in the truck. And then when I got home at 2 in the morning, I saw 20 missed calls, but it was all due to that leak and due to low water pressure, due to dirty water and stuff like that.
So they have a number?
Yes, they do have the number, yes.
And also, I would like that number in case they call me. And then too, also, they wanted to know, like, sometimes, like, they go and work on the pipes, and the people are in the middle of taking a shower.
Well, sometimes we're not aware of it. So sometimes every time we work on a leak or a sewer main or sewer service, we do knock on the doors and half the people don't even answer their doors. So it's hard to see if they're home or not. But we don't schedule because if this comes up, it can come up, hopefully not, but it can come out tonight and we don't know. You know, so.
Well, Councilman, I think what we can do, and working with the new city secretary, what we can do is when we have a major call out or a leak, we can put it on the website and the Facebook, and we can just send out an alert. And for those who have it, I know not everybody's a Facebook friend or the website, but you can tell people, sign up for the website to let people know, and we can send out a notification. Now, once they sign up with those cell phones and they have it, and if they give me their cell phone number, we can send them out a text to let them know there's a water main break on, whatever the address is, that'll give people information. So we can really work on that. Ms. Secretary, did you get that, Madam Secretary?
Laura?
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that don't have a computer or don't have access.
Yeah, but if they give me the cell phone and allow me to have their cell phone, they have to give me permission, then we can send them a text.
And also, this other person called me and said that the pecan trees are dying, that they don't get watered. So if there's anything the city can do about it.
Well, actually, see, the pecan, actually, I walked through with the mayor and some ideas I'm bringing to you at your next city council meeting. They need to be addressed. They need to be trimmed up and those type of things. And I'll have a proposal for you at your next city council meeting, but they don't take care of those, and they don't water anything. Do you, Jimmy? No.
And how many times do the water hydrants get flushed?
That's a good question. I'll tell you.
Every first of the month. Okay. Every first of the month.
All of them get, do all of them
Every
get,
first of the month.
No, not all of them.
do all of them
Well,
get
he
flushed?
has his route, so I don't know what route he
Right.
takes, that person, but he does flush every first of the month.
Yeah, he flushes first of the month, but,
Correct. But like I said, I don't know his route.
right, down at Riverbend, I know they flushed twice this year, and that's all we've seen them. So they got a lot of meters. But I'd like to say something about something else.
Go ahead.
When these people are on call, the worst thing that people can do is to call his phone number. It needs to go either to the city manager or the city secretary to answer all the questions, and he should only either city manager or the city secretary, because when he's in that hole and them phones are going off, he can't do his job, and he takes his mind off it. And so any phone number that should be given out should be the number that one of you to answer on emergencies only. It should never be his number.
No, sir, what I was saying with the 911 is that that's who, if they have a problem, they see water bubbling out, that's who they need to call him out for on-call.
Right.
Once it gets in
He
on-
said that he had 20 phone calls when he
Well,
got out of
they were
there.
calling the on-call number, so we'll make sure that they direct the public to what number they need to contact, and we'll get a special emergency number for that.
Yeah,
Okay.
so on the calls is after 5 o'clock. That's when they call him after 5. And
Well, they
no
should
one is
call
on-
him and say a broken line, and that should come from the 911 or Mrs. Turner, the secretary, to you, and you should go out and fix it instead of calling you.
Yes.
So we'll get another number, that's a really good idea, we'll get another number for when, after 5, and then we'll give them another number for 911 to call them.
And then Ms. Turner, she has a concern.
There's a concern in regards to having the city secretary answer these calls because she is not salaried, she's hourly. So once she.
City manager answers all those calls, I'm salary and don't mind.
Yeah, but you should have a backup because you do take days off.
Well,
Yes.
whenever we decide to hire a public works director, we'll make sure that he's a backup. But
And
until
Mr.
then, what we can do is be.
Just a real quick correction, we're set to meet with Spectrum on the 16th,
What's tomorrow?
15th.
Oh, okay, good.
We're a little ahead, but it's the
I
16th.
kept saying tomorrow, didn't I? It is Thursday, we're meeting. Thursday, guys, so we got one more day to prepare.
Okay, that's all the questions that I
Well,
have.
thank you, those were really good questions and good conversations, I appreciate that, Mayor Burton. So I'll dismiss these gentlemen, I'll see you on the morning.
Thank you
7
guys
o'clock.
for everything else.
Appreciate it.
Last but not least, you all saw Ricky here last week. You'll see him again next week. He's doing really good on the wastewater department. As you know, it maintains and operates the wastewater treatment plant. The city of Floresville will place it into operation, the new state-of-the-art plant in the fiscal year 2018-2019. His focus is to get that plant going. That's where Ricky's spending all his energy. As you see, he's quite versed in water. and wastewater. You're certified in both?
Yes, I have a Class A wastewater, I have a C water license, and I do have my REM, Registered Environmental Manager, and a Class D lab analyst.
And what were you training on today, this week?
We're training in water laboratory, so anything that, let's say there is a break down the line, we can pull samples and test, do everything ourselves. And I somewhat identify how strong or how bad that leak was. It's hard to determine if it was 10,000 gallons or 5,000, but with this type of training, we can get a close number.
Which is what we're trying to do as we go forward and looking at how we can take care of this aging infrastructure. Our goal is to open it up. I believe Mr. Harmon said it's going to be the third week in October. Connie, are there any things that are out of line for the wastewater? They're pretty much in budget. They said in budget because they didn't have to spend much because actually USDA is doing most of that. We want to make sure, and I was thinking Councilman Ortiz alluded to it, we're going to make sure that we invited the congressman to come out for our open house. He's giving us a date, so that's why he's going to decide which day. He's very interested and probably want to cut the ribbon on that wonderful plant. But we want to make sure we show up and do our best, so we're going to make sure that we spruce up as much as we possibly can. Ricky's already, he's in training, he's having the guys doing training, the operation manuals or how, what, they were huge, they came on disc and thumb drives and paper. We killed a couple of trees as well. So we're ready, he's ready. If you have any questions about sewer, please ask Ricky, he can tell you whatever you need to know.
I have a question for Rivera.
Hey.
Eventually, we're going to have to hire a new, once that plant opens up, we're going to have to hire any new employees pertaining to that.
He had anticipated, I believe, one person, and we eliminated that person in this year's budget, and he has said that he wants to wait until it's up and operating so he can see as we try to do that curve. You want to speak to that, Ricky?
Yes, there's just so many variables that we can't put together. Just without running the new plan, it is a new state-of-the-art plan. It is in addition to somewhat of a conventional plan. Once we get in there and we pull the curtain back and we're running the operation, we'll be able to identify later on if an additional employee is needed. But I believe there is a vacant position that we're just not, that we discussed to possibly bring him in if it's needed later on in the future.
So for budgetary reasons, I have asked on the organizational chart that position be on the organizational chart, but it's not going to be budgeted to fill. Then next year we can look at it, but I don't want to eliminate it because it may not come back. The grant, and Connie, my numbers, I wrote them down. $7.9 million was in the loan, 2.7 in the grant, 3.7 million for water, and then we're doing the application process for $2 million. Our USDA person couldn't make it tonight, but we're applying for that, and you all have already voted and approved. So that's all I have. I'll answer whatever questions that you all may have.
Are we gonna, when I'm looking at your numbers, the August numbers on your gross revenue, and I'm looking at your book on your budget, and I look at the adopted budget, are we gonna make our, if I had another 141,000, we're gonna be on 1.5 million, are we gonna make our budget on the sewer?
For revenue?
On revenue? Because when you look at your numbers, we'll definitely make it, but when you look at the adopted numbers and what we adopted here, it doesn't look like we're gonna make it.
Okay, you do have to keep in mind that when I loaded the budget into the system, into a file that is frozen, I did it in June 20 and 1918.
So you were actually a full month earlier with a different date, so when we do that, okay, that makes sense.
So a
Yeah.
lot of these amounts are not, doesn't look like they're gonna make it, but if you look at them right now, they're much closer than.
Yeah, 'cause that's 280,000 you
Yes.
just roughly had. Okay, I just didn't know because it says August 31st. And if you did it in July, that makes sense. Okay, great.
Yeah, and you have the date on the top of the left-hand side?
Right, it says August
The-
31st.
Well, no, the one on the top,
Well, right here, when did you give us?
No, she's saying 6/28/2018
on the budget.
The budget,
at 9:54 a.m., all the way at the top,
page 5.
above
Okay,
wastewater.
9/22.
Next,
6/28/2018.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at that.
Okay,
I'm
that's-
looking at the one that you handed out
No,
on the regular meeting that I'm pulling out.
yeah, but that's current.
Well, this is current, then we are gonna be short, if you look at this.
I don't have that, so I can.
Well, this is the one that you give us this while back for our meeting.
For June, what am I?
It was for the August meeting, it was 9/22/2000.
So, Councilman, if you can.
So we'll be okay then.
If you mark that note, she's gonna have a report next meeting, and then we can make sure we indicate that point. Is that okay? Thank
It'll
you.
be fine.
Thank you.
And I would like to take that advantage of this moment to let you know, on the garbage, Fund 311, when I.
That is
No.
not on the agenda. Sorry. We can only
What?
talk
But
about
I have
water.
that one there too.
We
I
can
was
only
gonna
talk
answer
about-
one of their
We can
questions.
only talk about water and wastewater. We have to stay to the agenda. We'll bring that up at the next meeting. Mayor Pro Tem, we're complete.
Okay, meeting adjourned at 7:28.
Thank you. Thank you, council.
We talk about USDA?
Yes, sir. I just told you what, that we applied for different grants and what it
Oh,
was.
because we went out of order then.
Yes, sir.
All right.